So I just thought I'd talk about what I've kind of done with my sequences. I started doing lights 2 years ago. Heath did them the first year when we saw someone who is an ACL member, their show around the corner from us, and I said, I want those arches. So Heath the first year did those and a few trees, and we ended up having the test patterns going the whole time, as it was quite complex to work out, and Heath was quite stressed about it. So I said, well, I'm happy to help. So I look after, I suppose, the sequencing and that kind of stuff. I'm very good at soldering as well, and I have all the ideas, and then I just ask Heath to make them. So it's quite a joint venture doing our light show, and we really enjoy it, and we know others enjoy coming to see it. So I have purchased some sequences, so I just thought I'd talk a bit about it. This picture was from the first year that Heath and I both did our show, so this was 2 years ago. And we've made a few changes since then. So the reasons for buying sequences, or also adding ones from other people, really is time for us, or for me. I'm so time poor, and I see so many good effects and songs that other people have done, and I'm really inspired by what they've done, and I can see it working on my show. So there's a lot of generous people who love to share their sequences. But for the first year I actually purchased one, and I'll talk about that after. There is a really good variety of songs, and it can be customised, but you really do have to have a bit of a clear vision of what you're after, because if you ask someone to make it, it is expensive. So I haven't gone to that. I've just used bits and pieces from paid sequences and also free sequences. There are many reasons, though, to create your own. Your show can be exactly what you want. What we heard earlier about making your own song, making your audio different, it's then very hard to purchase a sequence and to use it as it is. So it would be good, and I do want to try it this year, to do some of my own songs like cut shorter or mixed together, and also then try and do some sequencing. And I'll start a bit earlier this year.
You haven't started already?
No. I was thinking it could be maybe, yeah, I'll start soon. So it can be really, truly unique, and it's really good to make your show your own and to know your audience that you've got in your area and what they like and what you like and what your elements are. It is great because you can learn the skills using xLights, and I really enjoyed the Friday night sessions on Zoom, and I found everyone was really helpful and was able to give me advice on sequencing, but I just need more practice at it. So what to consider if you're looking at getting sequences? So budget, of course. They can be very, very expensive. The overall look and feel you want for your display, the elements you currently have, as well as the ones on your wish list that you can't afford, and you'll work through your list and add elements as you go. I always try and think about, if I'm buying something, can I use it again, or is it going to be a song that is just going to be for this year, or am I able to use it maybe for Halloween, because we did Halloween for the first time last year and it was really popular. So some options, lots of options out there, and you can get pre-made really simple sequences. Holiday sequences do very simple designs that you can use, right up to quite detailed designs from other people. You can get one just for your mega tree, which this one has a snowman on it. Singing faces, which I haven't gone into, but I'm quite keen to try it out. And matrices as well. So you can do whole house sequences or a combination, which I did for the first year. So I did a combination of purchasing a sequence for the house, and then I purchased another one for the mega tree to get the effects I wanted on the mega tree. There's a lot of people that are happy to give you sequences and also support you to map it to your own elements, so you could also consider doing that. And there's also the consignment ones that are very expensive, but if you want something really personal and you think you could use it more than one season, I think it is something to consider. So I got this list from think tank on Facebook because it came up around the same time as I was preparing for this. And it was a really good list of paid and free places to start looking for sequences. So some of you may have used some of those sources. I notice I've got Crockett Fantasy of Lights twice. I have purchased from them. I like looking around and seeing what's out there and what it looks like on their display or their example they've given, and it gives me ideas. But also there's lots of free ones that you can try out and go, oh, and practicing a skill of also how do you map it on xLights is really good as well. So I know a lot of people have used Logan's designs, and we saw that last year when Fing was here and he talked about how he mapped it so it was all over his house and it looked really good. So you don't need to necessarily use it as you see it as well. You can make it really personal still, but it's just that time as well. Okay, importing sequences in xLights, there's lots of different ways or lots of tutorials that you can probably find. I found Ron Howard's one easy to follow because I actually did the sequences that he had in his tutorial, so it was exactly the same for me, and it was really good for my first year. Always watch the person's show a number of times to see what you could use on your display, because even though they have it on an arch, you could put it on a tree, or you can really vary it up and mix it up to what you want, and use their display map. And I recently used one of Ron Howard's, and his display map is really detailed. It tells you how many pixels are on each section that he's used and what the names are for all his sections, which is very detailed. Some people don't give you that much information, so it can be a bit of hit and miss, and you might need to play around. So when you're doing your mapping, it's really good to save it, and then you can always change it if need be. How long does it take? Well, it can be really quick. It can be half an hour. But to get what you want, it might take some fine-tuning, and we found that with a few sequences last year. I wanted kind of this zigzag effect on our icicles just for something different, and that took a while just to check it worked, and very hard to see during the day. So it was a little bit of playing around to get all the colours that I wanted as well. I like a very vibrant show. Yeah, I'm sure the neighbours appreciate it, but I like colour, so they can appreciate it too. And that's one of the elements that we've changed in our last year. We've got the Icosa star on top of our tree, which looks really quite spectacular. I'd really urge other people to make them, but they are quite fiddly. And that was using a Bosco kit. So this was the first year. So we've had 2 years already. So Light of Christmas, I really liked. I liked this because I liked the pictures on the tree, and I thought, oh, that'd be really good for people visiting the show, get people really keen about the show being our first year. We had some elements, and I liked Lilia sequence for the whole house. So when I looked around, it said on the Lilia's site, on the Nutcracker site, to include the holiday sequences. So I thought, all right, first year I'm going to get both. So I did that. This is actually off xLights. You can now print your, you can save your, working on that one. You can save a preview with the sound. So that's one example that we've done, and that was kind of my first go out at the first year, and I used it again last year, but I did a lot of editing to it because I felt I liked how it looked, but I wanted it a little bit different, and I think changing a few of our elements around, it just didn't suit as much. So that was really good to change and to learn a little bit about sequencing as well. Last year I was really fortunate to win a copy of Sound of Silence from Ron Howard. He had a competition, and I guessed the name of the song. So yeah, I was really fortunate to receive that. And This is his version from his website. See if I can change the view. That might help. You can see that he's got an image, and I didn't really want the image in mine. It didn't really suit our show. We do have a matrix now, but I just didn't like the theme of it for our show. And you can see the colours that swirl around, and that's better. You can see the mega tree as well. I really liked the effects on the mega tree, and I just wasn't for our show. I just didn't really want playing the video. So I watched it a number of times and what he had created, and then I thought, well, how can I use the elements? So this is what we did. So I extended some of the effects that was over whole house, and when it starts up, you'll see I just did the whole house lighting up, and I tried to do it more as like it's quite vibrant still, but I decided not to use the images, and it was a real favourite song, which it's not really a Christmas song, I suppose. It wasn't definitely not a traditional one, but it was quite effective, and it was very popular amongst the dads that came along. The kids probably not so much, they like the pictures. But the dads really appreciate it, I think, and the adults. So I just added different effects to make it look a little bit more what I would want, and make it a bit more patterned. And yeah, I did like some of the effects. So yeah, it just made it a little bit different. So I was going to open it up and ask if anyone had any preference they preferred or anything they've done that they wanted to discuss, because I think it's nice to share. And as Daryl said yesterday, we're all learning off one another, and this is what I've done. And this year coming up, I'm hoping to do more, like I've got a song in mind that I really want to do. And I really want a sequence to it, and I haven't seen any. I've seen a few people doing the song, but not as I would like it. So I'm going to attempt to do that one myself, and hopefully others. But I'd just really like to know what other people do. So I don't know if anyone wants to share what they're doing. It isn't a Mariah Carey song, and it's nothing to do with any Disney movies. Yeah.
I personally like doing the sequences myself, or ourselves, between us.
Yep.
I guess it's more personalised that way. I did see that Light of Christmas song, on the tree with the pictures and stuff, and I sort of did my own version, tried to copy it a bit, I guess. I did my own version with the own pictures I found on the internet and sort of put them on the tree, trying to sort of make it look good. And it turned out fairly reasonable, I guess. But I just find it's a little bit more personalised. I think the good thing for me, if I ever bought a voucher or got a voucher for a paid sequence, is just to have a look to see how they layer the different sequences over the top of the others. And because obviously I'm only really fairly new to this, and I do maybe 2 or 3 layers or maybe 4 layers on stuff, but I don't go any much deeper than that. And I think if I bought one or got a voucher for one, then you could see just how many layers and how they fit the layers together, and to see how the quotes professional people do it, and try and work that into my own stuff at a later stage. I think that would be good.
I was talking to Daryl on Zoom about this, and I said, a lot of people see this as, I suppose, not something they would do. That's why because I was going to talk about it last year, but I thought, some people think if you shouldn't buy them, you should try and make them yourself. But I can see that there's benefits to both. And I think we're all doing it for the same reasons. Yeah, we just do it differently.
The point that is being made that I appreciate as well is that sometimes you see in a paid effect that's coming from overseas an effect or something that's been done that you would never have thought of being able to do yourself. And I think the classic is Logan's Star Wars, which is his mashup. I mean, that is quite unique, and I would never have thought of doing it. And it's one of the reasons why I've got Daryl's Beast now, so that I can actually put the Star Wars stuff on it. I've got a war at home to do it, make it happen, but I do think that that's one of the benefits of the paid effects. And in fact, I spend a lot of time just looking at Lilia's ones on her website, and there's been some absolute rippers sequences she's done where you can just sit down for an hour looking at them and then trying to imagine how did she actually do that. And one of them that she did last year was Bing Crosby's White Christmas, which is stunning, and I spent a lot of time trying to create a similar type white effect with that song. And so I do agree with you. Sometimes it's worthwhile just doing that. I mean, if I couldn't buy it because I don't have the elements that would make that work properly, and do it justice, but I do think it's worth looking at them.
I was going to say something quite similar, that I so far have not wanted to purchase sequences because I wanted to try and get it done myself. But that said, a lot of those multi-layered, really cool effects are for mega trees, and I don't have one. Well, I now own one. I've got to put it together, but the last couple of years I haven't got one. So a lot of those effects won't necessarily translate on a lot of the models and elements that I have in my display. They need to have, 1632 kind of strips of lights together. I did, I think I got a free one or two, and sort of tried to import them and sort of put them onto a matrix, and they just didn't quite feel the same either. So, but from an educational perspective of how to sort of pull apart, wow, how do they do that, and what can I do using those techniques, but my own effects on my own elements, is a fantastic learning tool. Yeah. So regardless of whether you get them for free or you want to shell out a few bucks for, as you said, what the pros would do, it's probably money well invested, absolutely.
So being a Dixon user of lights, now moving to xLights, the reason why I grabbed the sequence yesterday for the prize was to learn. I'm going to look at it. I may not use it, but I may get some valuable information on how to do the tricky stuff, and it's going to be a great way to start. Who knows, I might use it. I don't know what I may look yet or what's out there, but it's going to be a great tool for training. But in the sense that we have a lot of store-made things in our hobby, we have a lot of do-it-your-own stuff. So why does sequences have to be just do it yourself? And at the same time, if you're really, really good at doing sequencing, then why not sell them and for other people to use, if that's the case, or share, and let everyone else experience as well?
Well, I've got the Star Wars one. I think a lot of people used it, and I used it on my Mega Tree, and I tried to incorporate some of my videos, but it wasn't working. And I found it really interesting, and it really, I had a boy come up to me the year just gone saying, are you going to do that same, are you going to have that again? I really liked it. I liked, and I know last year Finn talked about doing the space all over his house, and so you can really look at it and unpack it and then see how you can use it. So yeah, it is a really good tool. Even the effects packages are really, really good. I know someone won one of those, and just to do simple things, to do different layers on a tree to get such a good effect, it really is a wow factor. So yeah.
What is an effects pack? Is it literally just, here's a 20-second kind of loop of multiple layers that you can chuck on a tree or a matrix or something?
Yeah,
or
yeah, it is like that. It might have, say, 20 different effects. It depends what you buy. Sometimes it might be just for a tree, or it might be designed that you could use the effects on any element you've got, and you could transfer it to whole house if you really wanted to.
Yeah, right.
So there's that flexibility. So some people might prefer to do that because then you can get different things to try out and you're not actually paying for the whole sequence, you're just paying for different effects that you can play with and then see how they're put together and look at the different layers. Yeah.
When you actually pick your effect you want for your model, is it just in that list, or you got to import it each time you want to use it?
You map it to your display elements.
Yeah.
So there's a function that you can use in xLights, and you can just map it. The really good thing to do is to save your mapping. So if you really don't like it, you can always revert back to a previous one, or if you want to move things around, you know where you've put things, and you just map it that way. So it doesn't come up as an option, like you can't click it and reuse it, but you can import effects like that as well. So you could
just keep the file on your computer and import it each time you want to use it.
Yeah.
You know, when you customize an effect to a certain point, you can then right-click a menu and then turn that into a preset, and that's what you're buying. You're buying someone who's customized the built-in effect to a certain extent, or maybe it's multiple stacked effects, and then you can insert that preset through a right-click menu, I think, and then it puts in like the various components that have made that combined effect. Like, so you can reuse it again and again and again. I believe so.
So you just save them as different effects. Yeah. But I've done more the mapping. Yeah. But I want to learn about it. And I suppose that's the thing. Like, it's, you know, I might be standing up here next year saying something completely different. That I've done my own sequences, and that'll be, you know, something different to show.